Today I'll be doing a toilet overhaul. I've got to replace the fill valve. Already partially disconnected some stuff. I've got to replace the flapper valve. I've got to replace the gasket at the bottom. That black gasket down there between the tank and the bowl. And then I also having issues with the supply back here. As you can see, I've already shut the water down, but I still got water coming out here. It's leaking into, and this is with the valve completely shut, so that's a bad valve. I'm gonna have to replace that. So that's what I'll be doing. First thing I'm gonna do is remove the old fill valve. So I'd already kind of started. Unscrew it at the bottom here. And then just take out the old one. And here's our new one. I'll put it in afterwards. I'm going to take off the old flapper. Unhook the chain and then take this flapper out. I need to unhook that chain. Now because this old valve is leaking, even when it's turned off, I really should be doing this with the water supply to the house turned off, but we've got several people here at the house that need to use the restroom while I'm doing this job, so I'm just going to be collecting water and dumping it down the drain right there as I go while I'm doing this job. And hopefully it won't take too long. Now I'm going to try to get the tank, get it disconnected so I can replace that gasket down there and the gaskets on the hold down bolts. Okay, I need a screwdriver and then a wrench on the underside. You can see right in there where the wrench is, the nut is that I have to hold. And then I unscrew the top with the screwdriver. I'm going to have to replace this valve first because I'm having some problems with the screw up here is rusted, so it's taking me a while to get that off. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace this valve first so I can turn the water off and it won't be dripping like that anymore. This is where the shutoff is for the water, and this is the valve right here. So I turn it clockwise like that, and that shuts off the water. Now you can see the water. I shut off the water, so no more water coming out of this guy. And now I can replace that valve back there. Unscrew the supply line to the toilet. Like that. There you go. And then just unscrew this. The valve from the wall. Just keep unscrewing it until it comes off. Because it has a compression nut, you need 2 wrenches. One to hold the valve, hold this in place while you unscrew this one. So I'll need 2 hands to do it. But you can see what I'm doing there to get that valve off. I wrapped 3 turns of thread seal tape around the new valve. the nut that goes around it, you want to make sure that you wrap the tape in the direction, in the same direction, which is it's going to be threaded on that way, clockwise, so we wrap the tape around that same direction. And you just take your hand and squeeze it and go around, tighten the tape a little bit, get any slack or air out of it. Take the valve, put it up there, bring in the screw in. There's a one thing I'll point out real quick. There's a compression nut right in there. See this? That's a compression sleeve. Part of this nut, and that's going to go on there and help provide a seal. So put that in there and just start screwing it back in onto your threads by hand first. And then when it gets harder, you use your two tools to finish it up. I'm going to use my two hands, so I'm going to turn the video off. You hand tighten it, position this properly, and then you hand tighten this, and then take 3/4 additional turn with your wrench. Don't over tighten it. I'm going to turn the water back on. There it is, it's back on. Check for leaks around the new valve. I don't see any leaks, so that's good. It's turned off. After turning the water off, here's what it looks like when it first comes out. I expect it to be kind of water's back on. Flush any air out. The faucet. I checked the faucets also in the other restroom. Get the air out. Once we turn the water back on, that looks good. Over here, you can see a little black came out too. Always does that. I don't know why. So this overflow pipe ended up breaking right down there. So I had to now I'm going to replace this overflow pipe and all this. I ended up taking it out. I'm just showing you after the fact. I've already removed the bolts, the hold down bolts, and this overflow was held it on the bottom by this screw here, like that, underneath. Here's the those bolts that were holding down the tank to the bowl. One of them I had to saw with a hacksaw because it just was stuck. So anyway, now I'm having to basically rebuild the whole thing. Put in a new overflow pipe, new bolts, new fill valve. So I actually already started cleaning. One of the things you got to do is you're going to have a new gasket in there, so you got to clean all this gunk off of there and clean off the bottom as well. Bottom looks pretty clean, but I'll be cleaning them a little bit more. I won't show that on film. I'll be putting in the overflow pipe first, and I'm doing it with the tank on its side just because it's easier to work with. So the overflow pipe goes towards the back, and the top which is right here where my thumb's hitting. The top needs to be 1 inch below the lever hole down, which is here. So I'm going to mark a spot that's about 1 inch below, and then I can adjust the height by twisting this top piece and moving it up and down. I've got the flush valve at about the right height, which is 1 inch, the overflow pipe 1 inch below the hole on the lever. Now I'm just going to tighten this up back here. So I got this hand tight, and then I go with this wrench included with the kit, 1/2 turn past hand tight. So there it is. I just turned it 1/2 turn past hand tight right there. Next, we apply the red tank to pole gasket to the bottom of the flush valve lock nut, fully covering the lock nut. I'm going to put the tank back on the bowl. There you go, the holes are lined up. I'm going to put a rubber gasket on the bolts. I'm going to stick the bolts through the holes. I'll do the same thing on that one. Rubber gaskets on the bolt, put it through the hole. And put a washer and a nut on each bolt. I'll tighten it using this tool that came with the kit. Being careful not to over tighten it. Do the same thing on the other side. Then we put in the new fill valve, and it needs to be, the top of it needs to be about 3 inches above the top. Sorry, but this needs to be 3 inches above that right there. So I'll measure that real quick. You can see it's about a little bit over 3 inches above the top of the overflow, so I'll adjust it. So you adjust it by twisting this a little bit and then moving it up or down. I think this one just kind of you can see I'm adjusting it down, so that should do it about right there. Now you can see it's a little lower and we're right about 3 inches. from the top of the fill valve to the top of the overflow pipe. Use this tool here. Well, I'm going to tighten it by hand. You can see I'm tightening this by hand, and you don't want to over tighten it, so I'm going to just tighten it as far as I can with my hand, and then tighten it a little bit more with the tool. Alrighty. Then you got to attach the refill tube and clip to the overflow pipe, but I already tried and this is kind of a tight fit, so you're going to want to use both hands. Put one hand on that while you push this clip down in there, and you want the end of this tube to be pointing right into the overflow. There, I've got it attached, the clip's attached so that the refilled tube is going to shoot right into the overflow. Next, you want to attach the chain, and I've already attached it. And you can see you want a little J, about a 1/2 inch dip. You see how it forms a kind of look like a little J down there? That's a 1/2 inch, about a 1/2 inch, just a small J down at the bottom of the chain. Next, we'll install the water supply to the toilet. I'm going to put a little pipe thread seal tape around here first. And put about 2 turns of the pipe thread, and then in the direction of the tightening, you want to kind of just get any air out of the pipe thread seal tape. Next, you want to put your pipe connection, your supply line. I'll just do it a little bit by hand and then just tighten it up with a wrench. And I like to use this Fluid Master twist click seal on the actual connection, because then I just got to listen for the little click, and I know it's tight. Okay, I'm tightening. See if I waiting to hear the little click, so I know it's tight. There it is. Did you hear that? It's tight. Now I'll turn on the water supply and look for any leaks. Now leaking down here, and you can see it's filling. The tank's filling up. Make sure we don't have any leaking anywhere. Down here, no leaks. No leaks here. No leaks down here. This is a 1/4 turn valve, so you only have to turn it 90 degrees to full open. Tank's filling up. No leaks, so we're going to go ahead and give it a test flush. So you don't see any leaking going into the bowl either, which is great. So let's flush it. And there it is. It just finished flushing, and no leaking, and don't see any leaking into the bowl, which is good. So we're done. Put the lid on it and it's ready to go.